What's up, AtoZ Sports Live on a Monday? Another loss yesterday for the Tennessee Titans. Another losing Monday for the incompetent offense of the Titans. Zach and Austin here for you guys to kick off this week, the first week of November. And the trade deadline is quickly approaching, just about 30 hours or so away from the NFL trade deadline. The Titans have already made a move last week, sending Roger McCreary away. We'll see what else happens around the league today. There's already been a trade this morning in the NFL from Miami to Philadelphia. So we're going to do two things today. That's reacting to the Titans' inability to score it off with a touchdown again in that game, even though they put up 20 points as a team. And then who's the biggest person of who's to blame for the Titans' losses and woes. And then we'll dive into predictions for this trade deadline, because I feel like something may happen before prime time tonight with Buck Rising. That's just my gut feeling. I don't have any info on that. It's just a gut feeling that I have today. So we'll react to all of this here with the Titans' 27-20 loss to the Chargers. Zach, what's up? Welcome in. Hope you had a good weekend. I know Ole Miss got a win, and the playoff rankings for you will be a lot happier than the playoff rankings for me tomorrow night in the college game. So that's something that I'm still struggling with. But what's going on?
Yeah, well, just trying to keep on to Lane Kiffin one more week. Well, one more day, one more hour, one more minute, really, on Twitter.
As one more job opens that Lane Kiffin might be called for. Yeah,
as another fired head coach gets free money from their university. We've got a lot to get into. Yesterday's game was good but bad, entertaining but not. I don't know, weird. We'll dive into that and get your guys' comments on kind of the state of not only the team, but moving forward, what they could do. I don't think they're going to be buyers here in the next 24 hours at the trade deadline. I think they're going to be sellers, and who are they going to sell out and to what team? So we're going to dive into a lot of that conversation. Looking forward to getting the chat involved on this Monday morning. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Keep you locked in right now, right there. We will tweet out segment by segment, link by link on our Twitter/X handle at AtoZSports. Follow us there. If you're a Titans fan, especially around the trade deadline, that's going to give you the best information possible. Also, make sure that you follow our NFL handle on X/Twitter at AtoZSports NFL, where we give you news all around the league. The best way to be involved in these live stream shows that we do in AtoZSports Nashville is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, type in AtoZSports Nashville. You'll see the light blue icon. Subscribe and make sure you ring the bell and get live alerts. So when we go live, you guys get notified. It comes right to your phone. You can check in and be a part of the chat on YouTube. So subscribe and make sure your live alerts are on there. Facebook, what's going on, Facebookers, bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing, as we say on this show. So share the show around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. So a lot to unpack. Not a lot of offensive touchdowns to unpack, but stuff to unpack, and we will dive into that. Let's get this party started on a Monday in November.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome to AtoZ Sports here live on a Monday, powered by the BTA Sports app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. We're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X handle. That is at AtoZ Sports. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Also, dropping this in the chat, something we started last week. Follow us on Google as I dropped the link there on both Facebook and YouTube. If you click that link, follow us on Google. That's just another outlet where now you can follow your favorite outlets like us. So appreciate the help there. Do have to thank our sponsors as they make the show happen and they help out all of you. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. Local online at bartondrury.com. Botero Carts, life is short. Buy a golf cart. 2 locations in Columbia and Gallatin. And Window Nation, buy 2 windows. You get 2 windows for free with no payments for up to 2 years at windownation.com. Zach Easton and I had a long, about 55-minute conversation in the postgame show yesterday about the Titans dropping a 27-20 game to the Chargers, where they covered for the 3rd time this year, but they have yet to find their second win of this season, dropping to 1-8. The Jets did not play yesterday, which means the Titans move up in the draft order to the number 2 spots behind the Saints. The trade deadline's coming, but you get a pick six and you get a punt return touchdown. Before yesterday, NFL teams were 85-6 in games in which they had both of those things. It is now 85-7, as the Titans are the seventh losing team with a pick six and a punt return touchdown in the same game. 2 field goals, no offensive touchdowns. I guess we'll just go hear Mike McCoy give him his overview thoughts of what he had to say out of the gates on his post-game press conference, the Titans interim coach.
And you look at the game, you come in, you walk off the field at the end, and, too many mistakes that we beat ourselves. You look at the missed opportunities we had in the first half, 7 penalties in the first half. That's tough. That's tough to hurt your football team. You have 7 of them. The last couple of weeks we've been outstanding, not having penalties in games, and today we have 7 in the first half, so that can't happen. And then, the big turning point obviously is getting stopped on the 1-yard line and then letting the big drive go down there and score. So that's the difference. And so it's frustrating to look at it because the missed opportunities that we had early in the game or some big plays the defense gave up in the first half. That's part of the game. So.
Sacked Justin Herbert 6 times, and you score 2 non-offensive touchdowns. You can't do anything there, Zach. I'll let you start this thing off with your one word that I gave in the post-game show, like we do every post-game show. Your thoughts?
I'm going a different direction with my one word, and I think this will resonate with the people that were not at the actual game in Nissan Stadium. My one word is Ross, and it goes to Ross Tucker. Because if you listen to the broadcast yesterday, I usually don't do this. I usually am not like, oh my gosh, what a great color commentator. But you got to give
it's Ross Tucker.
Yeah, but Ross had a good game yesterday.
Yeah.
He had a very, very good game because he called out one by one all of the Titans' issues. And it was unbelievable, whether it was the direct snaps, in which we'll talk about here shortly, saying, why are they doing that? Literally, quote unquote, throw that out of the playbook. So check for Ross. He was making fun of the Titans for not doing QB sneaks. And at the end of the broadcast, we got the bolt bump, the Chargers charge. I mean, they're making up names for the tush push, because it's working so well for the Los Angeles Chargers to close out that game. The other thing that he noticed, and again, Ross, a great game yesterday. Give credit where credit is due. Ross Tucker also talked about containing Justin Herbert with his legs. Well, who led the Chargers in rushing?
Yeah.
It was Justin Herbert, which is wild, and that was another reason why the Titans lost. The last thing that I have written down that Ross Tucker got correct is the red zone woes. When the Bucs get into the red zone, you hear the fire them cannons. For the Titans, I don't know. Do they do I don't know what they do when they get in the red zone.
They get a first down.
I know one thing they don't do. They don't score in the red zone. And Ross Tucker predicted this. And I'm sitting here saying, yep, bingo. They're going to struggle because you shorten the field and it makes Cam Ward's ability get tighter. It makes him have to be even more special. But they don't use him as much in the red zone. They like handing the football off. They don't have the play calling in the red zone to yield touchdown, or I would go touchdown opportunities. So all of those things are the reasons why the Titans lost yesterday's game. And I think it's deflating because the 4th and 1 goal line stand that was the impact of the game. Yeah. That changed the trajectory of the game. That changed the outcome because you would have actually gotten offensive points. But all of those things that I've listed, whether they're red zone woes, the Chargers QB sneaks, Justin Herbert's legs, or the Titans direct snap montage, if you want to call it that, those all came to a game that was winnable. I'm not saying the Titans were going to win, but winnable. When you get 14 points from untraditional ways, that is gifts Herbert gifted you a pick six. Cody Barton picked it off. That was a good play. Boom. There you go. DK is the MVP of this Titans season so far.
Yeah,
you got to applaud.
Right?
He should be. He should be all pro, Pro Bowl. It should be the only thing that he won't because he plays for the Tennessee Titans. But he is the best thing that this franchise currently has. And that's Cam Ward, Tony Pollard, offensive line, defensive line, secondary. That's everybody included wrapped into one. Jim DK is the MVP. So pretty unbelievable. You get 14 points that has nothing to do with your offense, and you can't get a yard. So Ross Tucker, I applaud you. That was a good game by you yesterday.
Yeah, I said last week, Jim DK has the cleanest resume of anybody who has gotten a check on the football side of things when it comes to the Titans right now, because he's not done anything wrong yet. Now, there are some comments that I want to get to here. Caribbean Daniel says, Bo don't know Jack. Bo Hardigree there. Brian says, Bucks, fire them cannons. Titans, cover your eyes for the red zone woes. And I wanted to get to a great joke here from Darren. The Titans red zone is now called the friend zone because they can't score. So that's pretty spot on.
Place you don't want to be.
No, which I mean, the Titans, Cam Ward only has 5 passing touchdowns on the season now through 9 games. That is not good overall when it comes to that. So, look, I think people calling for Nick Holtz's firing, and I think Nick, if Jim DK has the most unblemished, cleanest resume on the Titans, I think Nick Holtz has the most unknown resume on the Titans because he has never called the plays, and the play calling is a problem. We'll get into this, but Nick Holtz right now is kind of the heart. How do you blame this type of guy for what his role is in this incompetence overall? So, but going back to the fourth down failure, and we'll hear from Cam Ward and Mike McCoy here in a second, but because the game changes dramatically, because you're right, Zach. It was a winnable game because it was late in the third quarter. The Titans have 3rd and goal at the 1 to take a 4-point lead, and they failed twice. And who knows how the game script would have gone, because I said this in the post-game show yesterday, that if you get that touchdown, the defense had played well in spots throughout that entire game. You give them extra motivation and juice with a 4-point lead headed towards the fourth quarter to continue to get after Justin Herbert, who has 2 backup tackles, who you've done well against for the most part up until that point, to not go on the 99-yard drive, 15 play that takes 9 minutes off the clock, drive to end you to make it 27-17. Maybe you get a stop there and you get the ball back with your 4-point lead. Or worst case scenario, the Chargers go down and score a touchdown and it's 27-24. Now Cam gets the ball in the fourth quarter, down a field goal, and you get to say, all right, young kid, let's go. Let's figure it out. Let's do something. Let's see what you got. And you just get those leverage moments on both the defensive and offensive side of the ball of a game that matters late in the game in November at home, to do something and to see what happens, to learn from. And you just got that opportunity wasted by, I thought, 2 pretty bad calls on 3rd and goal at the 1 and 4th and goal at the 1.
I'm going to do something that's unfair and call hindsight. The hindsight 2020 is Cam Ward keeping it at a naked bootleg. He did a great play action fake that actually bit that corner that was in to crash in on the handoff. Mm-hmm. I think it's the Peyton Manning, and deal with me. You remember the shootout game between the Broncos at the Cowboys, and Peyton Manning naked bootlegs, and nobody thinks Peyton Manning has the football, even though he does, to score. Broncos were wearing all navy blue in Dallas. I thought that was one of those creative plays that you can get Cam Ward, because he's going to be on a corner if you look at it. I believe I'm almost positive it was a corner that was coming in, and Cam Ward is big enough to get 1 yard. And yeah, you're putting him in a different situation. You're not going to QB sneak it. They've already told you that. They don't believe in that. That's not what they're going to put Cam Ward in. But again, hindsight 2020, I thought you could have been a lot more creative. Their creativity was the direct snaps, and that didn't work. If you watched the Raiders-Jags game yesterday, They tried the same thing. Direct snaps didn't work in the goal line. So that missed opportunity to have some creativity that aren't direct snaps to get your team in a position to do what you said, which is just elongate the game or shorten the game, shorten the game and get it closer and rely on what has been working, which at that point you are correct. The defense have been playing better.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to hear from Cam Ward and from Mike McCoy about those direct snaps and the goal line failure here in a second. But first, Zach, tell everybody about our friends at Barton Drury Insurance Group.
Yep. Barton Drury Insurance Group is where you need to look if you are looking to change your insurance, or if you're not looking to change your insurance. You need to shop around, and you need to take a look at Barton Drury Insurance because they do a lot of different things. Cover risk, empower confidence. And that confidence is being local right here in the market in Middle Tennessee. They are trusted, and they do and provide a lot of different things for your insurance needs. Whether it's personal, I personally go through Barton Drury Insurance Group through my home and my auto, which helps bundle together under an umbrella to save me money. Our company, it helps our employees with health coverage. They are there for every step of the way. I had a question last week, reached out, boom, instantly got on a call with them. They responded via email. That's the insurance provider that you want. You don't want the big conglomerate that you're going to be having to deal with the chat bot. That is not Barton Drury Insurance Group. They're local here in Middle Tennessee. Give them a call today at 615-806-1265.
Shout out to BTA Sports, who had the Titans covering that game against the Chargers the whole week, and they did that. And I was able to win that bet because I looked at BTA Sports because they had the Titans plus 9.5, like a 65% chance to hit, which is a great deal on the line there. You can find out other great margins of victory when it comes to sports betting by becoming a better sports bettor with the analytics and models that BTA Sports has at your fingertips. You just do this. You download the app using the link on the Facebook title or the YouTube description and use the code ATOZ14 for a 14-day free trial before you have to pay $9.99 for a weekly pass, or you can do code ATOZSports. You still get a 14-day free trial, and then it's $99 for a full 12 months. That means if you do it now, you get next football season through October, and anything else BTA Sports has to offer right there, but only using that link in the descriptions there. So, Zach, we're going to get to this audio here or the video from Mike McCoy and Cam Ward. I wanted to read a couple comments before we did that because you're talking about the bootleg from Peyton Manning. I have visions of Peyton Manning doing a bootleg in the late 90s in Alabama, in Birmingham against Alabama for the Tennessee Volunteers. But Hello Lady says Ward can't or doesn't run. And Keelan said that Cam said he doesn't want to run. He was asked a couple times in the post-game presser yesterday about maybe scrambling more, being more open to it going into the bye week and thinking about that as well. And DeMario says tush push, but the Titans don't want to do that. Well, Mike McCoy was asked about the actual push play, the tush push play in the post-game presser. He did say that he is for it and open to it. But there was no follow-up on why didn't you do it yesterday? Why didn't you try it yesterday? Which is maddening.
There's controversy around that call all offseason for a reason. The Philadelphia Eagles, a big reason why they were so dominant last year and at times this year is because 3rd and 1, you get 2 plays to do the same play, and it's such a high percentage play with the players the Eagles have. But you need to find out if the players that you have, Tennessee, can do it, can execute it.
Yeah. I don't know. And it boggles my mind. And
what's the injury rate on the quarterback doing tush push over the last 2 years?
I tush push, whatever. Quarterback sneaks, like just the regular quarterback sneak that existed in football pre-2021 Jalen Hurts, right? Or 22 Jalen Hurts when they started doing the tush push up there in Philly. Like Tom Brady was brilliant at the quarterback sneak his entire career. That guy's a stick. So you can do quarterback sneaks regardless of what your body type is as a quarterback. I remember Patrick Mahomes got hurt on a quarterback sneak.
Dislocated knee, yes.
Yeah, right. And so, but outside of that, name another one. You can't, because they don't really happen that often. So let's hear from Cam Ward first about the direct snaps and the follow-up questions to that. The Titans used 3 direct snaps on 3rd and shorts. All 3 failed. One of them was a 3rd and 1 where he was moved out as a wide receiver. They ran towards him. That is another thing. I had another comment from somebody here about that in particular. Ken says moving Ward to wide receiver on 31, genius, 3rd and 1, genius level of coaching. Yeah, and like they ran the sweep towards the quarterback out there to put Cam in a spot to block. But here is the Titans quarterback answering questions about the direct snaps that all failed on Sunday.
With it and maybe bailing and changing to something else.
Just got to continue to have the same process level that we got to that point. I think getting back to plays that, we already ran to the game, we can benefit from those, and we do it at times. And also, it just comes down to the players making the plays. We, all 11 of us on the field on offense, we got to continue to do our job each and every play. It's always just whether myself or someone else is not doing their job for one specific play, and it hurts us. So just got to continue to be better. We also got to hold everybody accountable, try to win when we come back.
Does it show anything unexpected on those Wildcat looks, or was it kind of what you guys thought?
No, not really. It's kind of what we thought. We just didn't execute as a whole 11. Well, it was real frustrating, especially the base plays that we run to those looks. We just didn't capitalize. We didn't get in the end zone. But that's a lesson that we're going to learn, and we can't have it relapse after the bye week. We had to find a way to, put some wins together and try to go to run.
As you go through the bye week, are you?
So there's Cam Ward there. Let's hear from Mike McCoy real quick while that one's fresh about the same thing, the direct snaps that all failed yesterday.
In various short yardage situations, you guys continue to go to the direct snap to the running backs. Not something you had done a lot before. Was there something that you saw? Why did you continue?
Well, that's all part of game planning. I think as the offensive staff, when you go look at a game plan, how you're going to attack a certain opponent, there's certain things you always put in. And so when the staff put the plan together, they had a lot of they thought this was the best thing to do. So
Did you read on any read on why they didn't work?
the defense stopped them.
Did you see anything schematic that surprised you?
No, it just, it comes down to execution. We got to execute better in all 4, not just those plays, but plenty of other plays during the game. I think, our 3rd down conversion rate was not great overall. So there's plenty of things. It's not just Wildcat that didn't work.
I mean, he's right. There's plenty of things that didn't work, not just Wildcat. But the Wildcat did not work 3 times. And here's my problem, Zach. You ran it the first time. The first time didn't happen because technically Elikai Manor had a hold, which I think actually saved the opportunity for the drive because they had a chance on 3rd and what ended up being 16 because J.C. Latham took a 3rd and 1. And then with his false start made it 3rd and 16, and Cam Ward just missed the wide open Van Jefferson that was there on that 3rd and long play. But it's not the fact that they did that. They did it again.
I'm glad you said that play. I want to talk about that play, but go ahead.
Yeah. So it's 3rd and 1 all the way to 3rd and 16. But the 3rd and 1 play, you motion Cam out. Tony Pollard runs to Cam. Now Cam's in no man's land. Has to do something. He had blown up. It had 0 chance. So then they're like, all right, you know what? We should try again on 3rd and 1 on the goal line. That one, they got blown up really bad. And then that failed. And then when the game is kind of on the line and you need a touchdown and you're on the Chargers 20-yard line going in, it's 3rd and 2. Okay, you know what? It didn't work the first 2 times. Let's try it a 3rd time. This time with Tyjae Spears, see if he can do it. It's like, why do they continue to go back to it? That's why I like the answer or the question to Cam Ward. It didn't work. Why did you continue to go back to it throughout the entire game in these high leverage spots? And Cam kind of said in there, he's like, yeah, we could have kind of gone into what was working earlier and gone away from what wasn't working, but they stayed stubborn to the game plan for whatever reason. I don't know.
And, I don't know if Cam's at the level to just audible and say, we're not running that play yet. I think eventually he probably.
Well, he was when Brian Callahan was calling plays because Brian Callahan said this much. Well, and sometimes Cam Ward changed out of a play that he shouldn't have.
That's a harder play to change out of because that's the set, right? Yeah. Like you have to, you call the play and then you go line up somewhere else.
Yeah.
But these are the little things that you have to be more creative. I think that's where the Titans offensive coaching staff lacks is the creativity to put Cam Ward in better spots. Now, granted, and excuse/reason, whatever you want to position it as, their players are not very good. I started this comment because I think Kenneth Dotson is correct. They need to figure out how to find and target Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm has earned the trust like Jim DK has earned the trust. And we're talking about two rookies, but draw up a play where you can throw the ball to Gunnar Helm in the red zone, in the end zone, and have him try to make a play. That's the creativity of what you saw yesterday. Again, just watching NFL football, the Chiefs down do a very good job of when they're in a bind, they find Travis Kelce. I don't know how. I don't know what happens. Now, granted, they're working with dynamite, and the Titans are working with firecrackers. Yeah. But they find a way to give their better players more opportunity, and the Titans don't seem to do that. And that's, I think, honestly, they don't have a lot of good players, but Gunnar Helm needs to be targeted. That is the red zone. Like, you don't give Cam Ward the ability. I know you're worried that he's going to get sacked because your offensive line's so bad, but the creativity, Mike McCoy, I'll give Mike McCoy credit for two things. Two things I'll give him credit for is at least acknowledging how bad 7 penalties in the first half are compared to the last 2 games. You remember last week, I recognized that the last 2 weeks prior, they'd had 3 penalties and 3 penalties. Way to go. That was a change comparative to Brian Callahan. But this week, they go back to who they were and do that. The other thing that he recognized is how bad they were on third down. They were 1 for 9. 1 for 9. I mean, that actually yields why you don't score any offensive points. You want
to go deeper in this? They were 0 for 4 in 3rd and 3 and shorter. Now, if you remove the first Wildcat that got called off for a holding, they were 0 for 3. But I'm going to count that one for just our overall understanding of their failures. 0 for 4 in 3rd and 3 or shorter.
Can't win.
Nope.
You can't win.
So they were 1 for 6 in 3rd and 4 and longer. And the one that they completed was a 29-yard pass to Elikai Manor, where it actually went pretty well. But they, and then 3rd and 16, like I mentioned, slipped out of Cam's hand. They got stuffed too many times. It's miserable overall. So, all right, let's go ahead and get the chat back here involved and ask our first question of the day. And that is, if I can scroll to it here, it's who is most to blame for the Titans' offensive woes? Who is most to blame for the Titans' offensive woes? I'm excited to get into this because I have a lot of opinions and thoughts on it. Who is most to blame for the Titans' offensive woes? Let me tell you guys about my friends at Window Nation. WindowNation.com is the website to go get yourself a free estimate to what new windows could look like in your home, on your house, and to increase the value of your home and also increase the quality of life in your home. Because right now, the windows that we currently have still, Window Nation windows are coming soon for us this year. Our windows are a net negative. They're metal windows. They're the old builder grade windows that have been here since the house was built. We had these on our long-term list project when we moved in a couple years ago. And now we are getting Window Nation windows that are triple line silver. They will keep the temperature in the home what we want it to be and not let the outside affect it, which is going to save us money in the long run. And Window Nation's already saving us thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars with the buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free deal going on right now online at windownation.com.
AtoZSports got a lot of really great comments running in. We'll get to those here shortly. But we are brought to you, this morning's show is brought to you by BTA Sports, better for bettors. BTA Sports, as Austin said, they had that pegged. They had it. They knew the Titans were going to keep it closer than 9.5, and the results are in, and they did. Pretty impressive right there from BTA Sports. You need that. Maybe, I don't know if you're going to be able to watch tonight's game because I'm not here during throwing shade. I would love to derail this entire show and talk about the YouTube TV and Disney fiasco. But if you are able to watch tonight, you need to get the data. The sports books are trying to take your money. BTA Sports is trying to help you win it. So download the app today. Austin and I both have downloaded it on our phones. So better for bettors. That's BTA Sports. Download the app today. Use the promo code ATOZ14.
Yeah, normally all the TV deals, disputes all work themselves out like at the 11th hour. But when ESPN has their own app and their own money to make for it, yeah.
I have to do this because I'm not going to be able to show the rest of the week. At the very end of the show, I'm going to connect some dots with this whole thing that is going to make you say,
Yeah.
So we'll dive into that. I'm gonna give you a quick recap of what's going on and how frustrating and infuriating it is. But let's. I want to hit the comments because I think there's a good question because it's hard to answer. Who is the most to blame for the Titans' offensive woes? This is an offense that scored 0 points yesterday and have 20 on the board. You see, there's 20 there. None of them were by the Titans' offense. Just field goals, defensive plays, and special teams. Let's go to the chat. Coaching, Cam Ward is to blame. Simple from Jason. The offensive line from American Tough. The play calling from Steven. Coaching from Big 2033. Cam has to be better with his footwork. It's a known issue, and we talked about it prior. Curtis, I'm going to come back to that because that's a little bit of where I'm going to go. The players from Tall Texan, Cam Ward from Mark right there. Every offensive coach from Monsoon. The lack of talent from John. I knew we were going to have good comments. All of them are different, and all of them probably have a really good case to be correct. Coaches from Z Wildcat. Offensive line right there coming in on YouTube. Coaching from right there. Chad Brinker. That could be valid as well from Adam Barlow. Coaches, Callahan, he assembled the offensive coaching staff. So connecting the dots, kind of going, Kevin Bacon right there, going back to it's Brian Callahan's fault. John Robinson, Jake's just going to go back on John Robinson, blame him. Coaching in an abysmal play calling. Bo don't know right there from Eric. The play calling from Curtis. Bo coming in again. The head coach is to blame. Inept coaching staff from Top Tier. Ann says Brian Callahan. He hired everyone. So Ann coming in doing the same thing. I think all of these are valid answers to who is to blame. Sean, aiming. Sean's going directly to the top. The fans are to blame. Callahan would have this team in good form by now from Wes. There's something there that is in joking format. Play calling from Cole, coaching from Edward, coaching 1, Cam Ward 2, Calvin Ridley 3. Maybe Calvin Ridley will make a topic appearance later on in the show. Austin, who is most to blame for the Titans' offensive woes?
So just a couple of responses before mine from the chat, because I like the chat had Amy, had a John Robinson, had a Rand Carthon, and a Chad Brinker answer. And I think those are like root causes, right? Those are like trickle down or up causes of people that aren't directly doing anything on game day, but their decisions are showing up on game day and looking bad. Because I think those are smart answers, but they're detailed answers. But if I'm going to go more direct, I think if I'm looking at the last couple of games, I believe it is play calling. I think Bo Hardigree is significantly worse than Brian Callahan at calling plays. Now, again, separating Brian Callahan, the play caller, and Brian Callahan, the head coach. Because Brian Callahan, the play caller.
Well, he couldn't do that.
That's what I was about to say. Brian Callahan, the play caller, was making Brian Callahan, the head coach, worse. And Brian Callahan, the head coach, was better when Bo Hardigree was calling plays. But the play calling took a hit. And so for the people saying it's Brian Callahan because he hired the staff, he didn't hire Nick Holtz or Bo Hardigree to be play callers because he was the play caller, and that was the plan from day one throughout the end of it. Now, you can throw in Chad Brinker because where did the direction of Brian Callahan giving up play callings after week 3 come from? I believe it came from Chad Brinker. That's just my context clues that I'm going into. I believe that's Chad Brinker's decision to force Callahan to give up the plays. Now, Bo Hardigree has been bad. The Wildcat situation was atrocious. if they thought they saw something in the Chargers defense that they could win with the Wildcat thing during practice, okay, cool. But once you get in there and it's not working, stop doing it. Stop doing it over and over and over again. And you got to be able to call a quarterback sneak on 4th and goal at the 1 yard line. I don't care what your fear is of Cam getting hurt, and if Cam Ward, if you don't trust him to do a quarterback sneak, then that is a failure on the coaching staff from the time he was drafted to now. And so I think right now, in current present form, the play calling is the biggest reason for their woes, because they've gotten across the 50. They've gotten into the red zone. They just stall out because I think they're doing dumb decisions.
Because it gets more difficult. The
No,
closer
sure.
you get to the end zone, it gets more difficult.
I understand that, but like quarterback sneak, do it. And if you get stopped on a quarterback sneak, then that's not the coach's fault. That's the offensive line's fault or the quarterback's fault. But at least the coach put them in the most successful position to score or to gain that yardage. A quarterback sneak, do that. That is the best decision you could possibly make as a coaching play caller head coach on a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and goal, 4th and goal. Just do that. Because if it doesn't work, it's not your fault. That's a failure on your big guys up front.
Patricia says something pretty interesting. Goes, Callahan should have hired a better staff being a first-time head coach. I would need folks with experience. This staff is god-awful. I think this is a great point because you see this. What did Mike Vrabel do when he was hired? That was the first time that he had ever been head coach, and he did just what Patricia said. He leaned on experience outside of him because he didn't have head coaching experience. And I do think that is coming back to kind of bite the Titans overall because of the situation that they don't have a lot of experience to lean on. And Mike McCoy, I mean, again, he's a lame duck. You know, he's just filling the role. He's not trying to earn a job. He's just there. He's an interim. If you can define interim, it's Mike McCoy right now. My answer goes to what the chat, you went more specific. I'm going to go general. I'm going to bring up something that you had actually mentioned earlier in the show. My answer is coaching because Cam Ward can't trust anyone. He can't. I don't think that this is an excuse for Cam Ward. Cam Ward had made mistakes yesterday. I think we all saw that. He also made some really good throws, really good reads, and was on time at times. But his coaches and his surrounding pieces is you can't trust them. Alec Eilman early in the game drops a football. You can't do that. I'm sorry, rookie or not. Well, he's a rookie. So should you trust him or should you not trust him? I don't know, right? He doesn't have the experience. Coaching, the footwork. Van Jefferson was wide open, right? And Cam Ward is good off script, right? He can do it, but not always. That was a situation where he didn't have to be weird throwing the football. He had enough time to set his feet and throw. That's coaching. That is coaches, just like teachers, just like parents, remind their students and their children certain things. Hey, don't forget your lunchbox. Oh, make sure that you say thank you. Oh, those are little things that you remind the people you are coaching, teaching, or parenting in times of need. And in that moment, I thought that was an example of Cam Ward. If he had a good, strong, experienced father figure head coach in his ear consistently, Morgan Freeman's voice would ring in his mind to say, set your feet, young man, and make the throw. He doesn't have any of that. So who is to blame? I look at the whole scope, and I think that really is impeding on the results or lack thereof of the Titans offense.
Yeah. I think that the problem with the question that we've asked is that there's not any really wrong answers. You know,
that's why the chat was correct. Everybody's right.
Yeah, it's like absolutely. That's how I feel about it. Hindsight's 2020. Would this again? I was against the firing of Brian Callahan that early. I thought if you get to 1-8 and you're going into the bye week, okay, now would have been the time to move on from Brian Callahan because you have less games remaining and the trade deadline's happening. So I think some guys have given up on this. I think there's been a little bit of who cares and quit in the locker room. Mike McCoy does nothing to give any type of juice, right? I think Mike McCoy is a waste of space. He was inserted there because it didn't shuffle anything else. I would be totally for the first ever in-season firing of an interim head coach because I think I said it last week. Mike McCoy is not doing it. He's not looking or working towards anything. He wasn't going to coach this year if Brian Callahan didn't call him in the spring. He was on the Jag staff to get fired after last season. He had already spent 3 years out of the league before joining the Jag staff with his family. I believe that's exactly where he was headed. Brian Callahan said, hey, you want to come be a senior assistant and help me out? Sure, I'll do that. And he's just here for another 9 weeks. That's it. He can just go back and do whatever he's doing, which is totally fine. He can do that. But I think giving John Bones Fossil the interim head coaching job would have been the correct decision to get the most out of the remainder of the season. And that matters because you can count the young players on two hands that are important for the future, that you need to see stuff from. And right now, Mike McCoy's not giving you any of that because there's nothing on the line. John Bones Fossil has something on the line. Is he a future head coaching candidate? I'm not saying here, just in general. Because that guy looks like he can lead a football team. And I don't know if you saw this, but Easton wrote about this in mid-game last week. John Bones Fossil was asked on Tuesday by Teron Davenport, hey, it's been since 2012, since the Titans have returned a punt for a touchdown. Do you think that could happen soon? What is that on your mind? Do you think about that? And he laughed and he goes, it's really funny you asked me about that this week. It's like you're sitting in my office. He knew that was coming. He saw it on Tuesday. The Chargers had a hole and they would take advantage of it. And it happened. Put John Bones Fossil up there and let them get something else out of the last 8 games.
Well, he's a part of the best part of this terrible team.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like Mike McCoy was not a part of the best part of this terrible team, but Bones was. So I don't disagree with you. That would be something. They'll never do that, Austin, because that's admitting them making another wrong decision.
Yep.
Which is, I think, to the common man, the common person, they'd look at that and say, God, the Titans, they're firing everyone. So they're not going to do that.
Yep.
And they didn't have the opportunity to do what Miami did. Miami could fire their general manager and say, the head coach is going to stay at least for the end of this year, and then we're going to probably clean house. Titans weren't in that situation. They had just hired a new GM. They weren't going to do that. And Amy decided that she was not going to come out publicly and say, we're going to keep Brian Callahan for the rest of the year, and then we're going to fire him. They made the decisions they did. But I do align with Mike McCoy is not offering you anything to this young team. The experience he has, they showed a graphic yesterday on the game of how bad he was in his last 2 seasons. I get it. I understand why.
Yeah.
And he had a lot better players in San Diego than he currently does.
Yeah, and that was Phillip Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, if I'm not incorrect on that one. Antonio Gates. Like, man, you had it. You had like 3 Hall of Famers at really important positions that were scoring touchdowns.
Most of the people in the Titans office don't even know who Antonio Gates is, probably.
Unless they saw that Keenan Allen is just like about to break his the franchise record for most catches.
Maybe they saw that.
Look at that graphic that flashed up
that
there.
Just is the difference. I think I go through these waves watching the Titans, and I'm sure Titans fans do too, because there's very little good football played by the team, but there's some. And I think that is like, well, man, if Jim Dico gets a couple of years, he could be that impact, 3rd to 4th wide receiver that they do specialty plays for, and he can impact special teams. Man, Gunnar Helm could be a really good. Could he grow into Jake Ferguson-esque? Can he develop into that? Maybe so. Io Manor needs to catch the damn football, but there are little sparks of him getting open and running the right route. Man, if he had a number one wide receiver that took distraction away and people weren't queuing on Io Manor, maybe he would be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You know, Tajay Spears, look, you've seen some burst from him. You could argue the best player of the game was the 3rd and long that they got into field goal range as surprised to say, oh, we're going to steal points. So there are glimpses of hope of when it comes to that, but they're few and far between. And then the coaching staff, I think, comes and screws it up at times with the play calling and all the things that we've talked about.
For sure. I think you mentioned the Titans are probably not going to fire an interim coach. I believe they're too prideful to fire an interim coach. I also think they're too prideful to change the play caller again. Because I think the play caller, if they did not already use their card on changing the play caller in September, then I think they would need to change their play caller now.
Oh, see, I think firing the interim head coach is off the table. That's not going to happen. That's too publicly facing. I do think that changing the play caller, if they continue to lose games, can be justified, and it's not a bad move.
No, it's justified now, but I think they're too.
No, I think if they continue to lose games, I mean,
I think they're too prideful to do it.
Look, let's look at this. They go to the bye week. They could actually change it now. They should
change it now. I agree.
This would be the time to do it.
It'd be so perfect.
You could do, if you lose to the Texans, the Seahawks, which you will, and the Jags, maybe going into Cleveland in the last 5 games of the season, you could change it to try to steal a game and make a change. So I think, look, there's plenty of games still left to lose that they could change. I don't think that's off the table.
And somebody said, pride, the Titans have it. Brinker and Borgonzi chose the play caller to who to change it to, and it's egg all over their faces. And I agree. That's what I'm talking about. That they are not going to do it because it blew up in their face overall.
I disagree with this. I don't, Jason, I think in your heart of hearts, especially, look, you have a Brian Callahan avatar.
So that so I will tell you this: YouTube is, for whatever reason, it's flipped to the usernames instead of like the @ handles instead of like the names. So that is a Brian Callahan parody commenter.
Okay, so parody.
Yeah,
so maybe you really
exposed to Jason.
But Jason, do you really think that Cam Ward stinks? If you do, I think you need to reassess. Because I don't think he stinks. I don't think he is barn blazing great. I don't think he could be. I think he was set up for failure, right? He doesn't have a coach. Everybody's a rookie. He can't trust anyone. Everybody's hurt. So I don't think he stinks. I think you saw some really talented throws at times yesterday and in the prior weeks. I think he's in a really, really, really difficult situation in his career playing football. And I don't think it's going to be this way forever. I still am very much in on Cam Ward. I think he has growth to do. I think you can surround him with better people. I think the rookies now will be better next year. I think you have to improve the offensive line, and you've got to get him better weapons. But I don't think he stinks. Will Levis stinks.
So
we've seen Jake Locker stunk.
Yes. Look, Cam Ward is not good right now. I mean, he's got bad problems. He does. He keeps fumbling the football, letting it slip out of his hands, whether it's bad footwork or just not strong enough hands. His hands are big enough to pass the threshold. Are they not strong enough? I don't know. That's something he has to work on. But Jason follows up and says, I think he's too much of a project to take it one. So that's a different thing.
Yeah, but see, now you bet. Hey, Dion, you're backpedaling.
No,
there's a difference between he stinks and that comment.
Sure, okay, but where I was going to take it is that Cam Ward was more of a project at 1 overall than we've seen recently of number 1 overall quarterbacks. It was expected it was going to take time because of the raw nature, how much he moved and transferred and did not have continuity throughout his college career. And he had just been playing not wing T football for 4 or 5 years from high school. So it was going to take some time. That was understood, should have been at least. But then you go out and fire the coach that drafted him 6 weeks into the season, and you just created more turmoil. That's where I think the Titans have gone
I
wrong.
want for everyone to put in context. Austin, could you please, and I know you can do this because you know the offense, please list the starters on the offense that have more than 3 years of experience.
Dan Moore, Lloyd Cushenberry, Kevin Zeitler, Chiga Okonkwo, Tony Pollard. Van Jefferson / Calvin Ridley. So there's 6.
Well, Calvin is not starting.
No,
so
Van Jefferson. So I said Van Jefferson and Calvin Ridley are the same position. So that's 6.
How many players play on offense?
11. You could maybe say 12 depending on personnel.
And Cam Ward is one of those, right? So, I'm talking about who Cam Ward is working with. I'm not talking about Cam Ward.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. That is impactful. You talk about a project. Well, the project, you ever been on a college project and everybody is not doing anything? You know, that's kind of what this project is not the people on your college project team don't know and have a lot of experience to help with this project. And the results are showing. So again, you could say, Zach, those are all excuses. That's no excuse. You're the number 1 pick. You should come in here and dominate. That is hard to do. And if you look at year 1, number 1 overall picks and what they do in their first year, history shows that they have these type of woes without what Cam Ward is dealing with, is with not a lot of experience around him. And how many of those players are actually catching the football that he's throwing to? That you got to take that into consideration. You got 2 guys that are on the offensive line, and Dan Moore, I thought that was awful. I was not a Dan Moore guy. I'm still not a Dan Moore guy. I thought he was vastly overpaid. Maybe I understand that they were trying to spend a lot of money on an offensive lineman. Check, they did that. But as far as the quality of players around Cam Ward, I do think it's unfair to say he stinks, he sucks, he's worthless, he's not worth it. Why do they do it? He's not good. I don't believe that is justified, that you can say that, understanding the context of his surroundings.
And then you've got the comment that says, where'd it go? Mr. Clean. Jackson Dart's been playing good ball, though. Is he? Or is he on the Will Levis track? That he came out hot and now he's going back to the mean, and now you're starting to see his flaws.
He's definitely regressed. I think and I've watched every snap Jackson Dart has played as a professional football player. And yesterday, I think, was a telltale sign of him going up against a much better team and him not having the players around him and him starting to regress. You got to credit Cam Scattaboo also and what he did for that offense, because he helped him. When he broke his leg, I knew that's the season. The Giants weren't going to do anything anyway, but Jackson Dart has regressed a little bit because of his surrounding pieces. The Giants were bad last year, so were the Titans. You don't see this polar shift besides the New England Patriots. There's not a lot of polar shifts at the top of the draft from a year ago. If you look at it, right? The Saints, the Jets, the Giants, the Browns, trash. The Titans, trash. The Patriots are the one team, because they've got a good head coach, they've got a progressing quarterback, and they have a good culture, and they are winning games.
My issue with Dart, and people think I hate Jackson Dart, I just don't think he's very good. I think the way he is playing is unsustainable, and it's just not going to last, because it is very emotional. It is screw it. Let's just go out there and just ball, and he's going to get hurt, or he's going to start making terrible decisions.
I could see how you say that. I will credit.
And I didn't watch yesterday. I didn't watch anything yesterday, so I have no idea. I know the box score yesterday.
I would implore you to go watch Jackson Dart's game, because one thing that he is better at than most is pocket presence. He can maneuver around the pocket to then make decisions, and he's more apt to run than Cam Ward, obviously.
Yeah, and that helps.
That I have seen that is an elevated attribute in his game at the pro level when things are moving quicker. That is something Jackson Dart has that I don't think a lot of players have very well. So
most rookie quarterbacks
by any means.
Most rookie quarterbacks that have early success do use their legs more often than the average quarterback. That is kind of a cheat code bailout, training wheels, if you will, of using your legs as a rookie because you can't win consistently from within the pocket. That's how you get more first downs, you get more reps. So that it helps. I don't think it's sustainable at all. I mean, Jaden Daniels is now maybe out for the year, and we don't get to see what that year two truly can develop into after how great he was last year. And he is a use your legs type of quarterback.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this comes down for the Tennessee Titans to the offensive line. I think Cam Ward, what should give Titans fans hope is when Cam Ward has time and he has a coach in his head saying, set your feet, make the throw. I think he can be very, very good. But that is not realistic currently.
He doesn't consistently. He doesn't consistently set his feet. I think that's the overall issue. All right,
we got some coaching.
Yes, for sure. We have some super chats to get to. We also have trade conversations as the trade deadline is rapidly approaching, and there might be something that happens here over the next few hours. We'll get to more of those. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about Botero Carts. Life is short. Buy yourself a golf cart. I don't know about you, Zach, but I was out trick-or-treating on Friday night, and a couple neighbors just had that golf cart. They're taking the kids around to different pockets of the neighborhood and maybe jump in different neighborhoods to go get the best and the biggest pieces of candy on Halloween. You can do that too, maybe next year or whatever you might need a golf cart for, business or personal. Botero Carts has you covered. Life is short. Buy a golf cart. They have 2 locations, Gallatin and Columbia. You have 0% financing for 36 months. That's 3 years of 0% financing. That's the big deal there. They will help you out. There's a no credit needed option if that's possible or needed for you. No credit card fees on top of that. So you're not just paying extra. You're buying the golf cart, and that's what you need. And they've got great golf carts that start at $6,700. They're stored inside, away from the weather conditions in Middle Tennessee, especially this time of year. The holidays are coming up. It's a great time for that big red bow over a golf cart at Botero Carts, BoteroCarts.com.
AtoZSports are about to get into some trade talk for the Titans, but you need to download the BTA Sports app. They present this morning show. They're better for bettors. They help you win money with data and statistics. That is huge when it comes to trying to get ahead of the sports books. It's hard to do, but you can fight fire with fire by downloading the BTA Sports app. Use the promo code ATOZ14. That's ATOZ14. When you download the BTA Sports app, you get up to 14-day free trial for a weekly subscription of $9.99. You can use the link in the show description, but download the BTA Sports app. It is better for bettors.
All right, we got some super chats coming here. Big Rich comes in, or C Rich, excuse me, says, when a traditional offense works past the 50, the coaches get scared and feel like they need a trick play to score. It's been consistent all year. That's, I think, spot on. They've actually, I think Nick Suss has the stat. I believe it's 23 times, Zach, the Titans have crossed the 50-yard line on offense and gotten 0 points this season. Now, missed field goal 23 times. I believe at one point yesterday it was 23. Maybe they added more. 23 times they've passed the 50-yard line into opponent territory and come up with 0 points this season. Right. So sometimes you're not going to score on all of them, right? Sometimes you turn over on down. Sometimes you miss a field goal. Sometimes you have a turnover. Sometimes you punt, right? There's many different ways. But that's getting into your opponent's territory and getting nothing.
In today's age with K-balls, you rarely punt. You're going to go for it or kick a field goal across the 50. I mean, guys are getting 65, 68-yard field goals in today's age.
It's also easier to get across the 50 when a touchback puts you at the 35.
You start at the 30 freaking 5.
Or you have an all-pro level returner who gets you there in the first place.
Yeah, you can definitely see the impact of the rule changes over the last.
I like
it. Gives you more hope offensively.
No,
but
I think it's a good football play.
What, the kickoff?
Yes. I like it a lot. I think it's a good football play. It's a real play. It's not just a return. It's there's scheme, there's skill, there's execution to it. And I think it's a good football play.
I think the one thing that I like about it is it makes the kicker do his job.
Yeah.
Where we were used to him just, all right, bro, you're booting it out of the stadium. Now it's like a chip.
Yeah.
It's like a golf. If you watch Aubrey tonight for the Cowboys, because he's got the strongest leg in the world, I think. It is a chip. It is a short game golf shot. And I think I like that about it because it involves another player, which everybody should be involved.
Side note, one thing that has to change, I think, from either a coaching standpoint or the league has to address this now that the new kickoff rules happen. If there is a penalty on the defense on a scoring play, that the 15-yard penalty assessed on the kickoff, that's a decline all day long. You decline that if you're the kicking team because you're just moving closer. It's a harder kick to make to land in the landing zone because you're not just booting it through.
Does that happen often?
It happened yesterday to the Titans. Joey Sly had to kick off from the 50. It doesn't change where your guys are at. And he kicked it in the end zone a little bit too long and got better field position for the Chargers. Short game. One, either create personal fouls when your opponent scores to be assessed on the kickoff so you get an easier touchback if you don't have a good returner, or you have to decline those penalties. And I noticed that immediately. I was like, you got to decline that. And then it happened, and I'm like, okay, there you go, Mike McCoy. You got to be on top of that stuff. What are you doing? If I knew that sitting at a bar, then what's wrong with Mike McCoy? Why can't you guys think about these things? It's a harder kick because that is a skilled kickoff now on the kickoff. It's a skilled play. And now you're making that player change their skill and taking 15 yards away from their landing zone opportunity. That's a bad
same
move.
thing with the punt, right? That's why you take the delay game.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so more super chats to get to. Kick of the King says, I think we're all smart enough to put together a roster that you have an elusive guy and a bruiser for running back 1, running back 2, not 2 elusive guys and no bruiser to get you those downs and short yardage coaching down on the toilet. So I guess the short yardage failures are because you have 2 running backs that are lighter and not the heavy pounding guy in the past. But, Derrick Henry went through a time where he was struggling on 3rd and short or short yardage situations. Not the goal line. The goal line's different.
He's going back to, the smash and dash, right? What is your switch up? I think for Cam Ward, the check down of having a scattier back has been beneficial to him because he's constantly under duress. But I do think kick it to the King, that may be the next iteration. I guess you'd probably think about what the Chiefs do. The Chiefs do the same thing. They've got Isaiah Pacheco, and then they've got Kareem Hunt. Hunt is more of the bruiser, and Pacheco is more of the scat. Maybe Borgonzi, who's with the Chiefs for such a long time, takes that same approach. I think that's a good comment by Kick It to the King.
Yeah, Andre, Denard/Bones have their guys playing as hard as they can. Wilson working with moldy bread. The offensive coaches equal bumbling idiots fumbling the bag. Yeah, I mean, and
it's
Denard Wilson's
the worst part of the team.
The offense, yes, and Denard Wilson's probably going to lose more of his unit.
Do you think they'll clean? Well, this is a whole nother conversation. But
yeah, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to save something for the bye week conversation.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We can do that. All right, let's go ahead and get to some NFL trade deadline predictions. Who will the Titans trade away before the Tuesday deadline? Who will the Titans trade away? I just hinted maybe some defensive players. Who will they trade away before the deadline? Zach, tell us all about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute.
Yep, boneandjointtn.org is where to go. Don't fumble on your recovery. The Bone and Joint Institute has been around for some time, and we've partnered with them every step of the way. If you've watched AtoZSports, you know about the Bone and Joint Institute, whether it's our doc talks or maybe they've helped you. We've done live broadcasts from there. They have the specialists in Middle Tennessee that can help you in your time of need. Maybe it's a shoulder. Maybe it's a dislocated elbow like Jaden Daniels. Maybe it's just something that has been wear and tear over several years, an old high school football injury. Who knows? We all have those. Make sure you check out the specialists for your aches and pains and more serious injuries, whether it's you or your children, Rely on somebody that is reliable. That's the Bone and Joint Institute. They've got a state-of-the-art facility down there in Franklin, Tennessee. They also have satellite locations throughout Middle Tennessee. So check them out. The Bone and Joint Institute. Do not fumble on your recovery.
And shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Payne Bone to help you out with that. So, Zach, we asked the chat, predictions for trade deadline. Who will the Titans trade away before the deadline that comes up Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Time? What are you seeing from the audience?
I'm going to go ahead and answer this from my perspective. I keep Tony Pollard. I think he can give you an opportunity to be in winnable games like you had yesterday, the 20-27. Hey, it's at least within striking distance.
Yep, agree.
I think you have to trade Calvin Ridley. I think there is so much want and need for a wide receiver that can make plays. I think Calvin Ridley has had his own problems with his drops. Let's have somebody else experience that. If you're the Titans, I think Calvin Ridley needs to be traded. I keep Sweat. I do not trade Sweat. I'm sure you're going to have some calls. I do not trade Jeffrey Simmons. And I know that's been floated out there that they're going to keep him. I would keep Jeffrey Simmons and Sweat. I think you can build and be more competitive next year with those guys on your roster. But I do trade Calvin Ridley, and they've already traded McCreary.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ridley goes, though. I keep Pollard.
So I keep Pollard. I think they're going to keep Sweat. I think with those two players, and here's what East and I talked about this off air some yesterday during the game, that there's been a little he said on the Titans internally are saying they're not going to move Sweat or they're not going to move Calvin Ridley. But you see, like Teron tweeted out that the Titans are not trading Calvin Ridley yesterday after the game, per his sources. But you see others saying, I think it was Pro Football Talk with Florio saying the Titans are gaining more buzz for Ridley. I don't know. So somebody's gonna be right, somebody's gonna be wrong.
And those are kind of different, right? If somebody's calling to inquire about Ridley, it's different than they are.
Well, I think Florio's was more like the Titans are, or it's gonna happen. Like Ridley is on. So I don't know. I mean, he's a hamstring injured 30-plus-year-old receiver who's got
trade his ass away.
Yeah, sure, great. Like that's
what are you gonna get for him?
And who's going to take it? Who's going to take it? I said about like, if do you want an injured hamstring 30-plus-year-old receiver with a big cap hit, Zach? Do you want to trade for that?
Well, you got to pass a physical.
Yeah.
So there's that. You can always Laker him, Dalton connect him, Mark Williams didn't pass the physical. Sorry. So you have that in your back pocket. But I think teams at the trade deadline, especially in this era of football, the Eagles do it better than anybody. We all know that. But there are some teams that need wide receiver help. And Calvin Ridley has proven that he's fast and he sometimes can catch.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't see that materializing. I don't think Tony Pollard should be traded. I don't trade anybody on offense. And I said this about Chig. I don't trade Chig Okonkwo either. I think you need multiple dynamic yard depth to catch guys for Cam Ward the remaining 8 games. There's a lot you can grow with like these next 8 games will help determine what the standard and expectations are in 2026. You need as much good experience and reps as you possibly can. And you're not going to get a 4th-round pick for Calvin Ridley. And people in the chat, you're not going to get that.
So looking at possible teams that could do that, I think it's tough because looking at who would be interested, there's a lot of like I'm looking at like the 49ers. You look at the Steelers. You look at the Patriots. To maybe your point is you're now looking at who is willing to trade for him and for what. And maybe they just lowball you because they don't truly need Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
It's
And the
not, there
Titans-
hasn't been a bunch of injured wide receivers early this year yet that aren't going to return.
And the currency right now in trades in season have mostly been pick swaps. It's the Titans have a player and they send a player and a pick to swap for a pick that's maybe 40, 50 spots higher. But you're not gaining a pick, you're swapping picks.
What do you think you would get for him?
Because he hasn't played in several weeks. I think you're getting
Maybe it's not worth it.
I don't think it's worth it. You're going to get another 6th, 7th round pick swap. You already have 6 picks in the 6th and 7th rounds next year. Why are you going to?
You need 3rd rounders.
Yeah, but you're not going to get into that for anybody. So
that is one thing that I wish the trade deadline was better at but draft capital is so valuable that the 3rd round pick is a high pick to trade. Parsons did that before really the season. That was a blockbuster before the year. At this stage, you're not going to get the 2nd and 1st round trade.
In the in-season trades, the buyers have the leverage, like too much of it. And I think they've done better with the trade deadline of moving it earlier in the season, which I think helps. But maybe there's something else to tweak so that there's a little bit even leverage and the sellers can have a little bit more leverage, because right now it's pretty lopsided towards the buyers.
I think you'd take this every day of the week.
It's not going to happen. I
know, but that's what I would take.
Yeah.
You get a 4th round pick and you give up a 6th for Calvin Ridley. I think that is probably the most ideal trade. I just don't know how many teams are actually looking at that.
Sure. And Andre says, you can't tell me that trading Brownlee and McCreary for pick swaps was good value and then turn around and tell me that it wouldn't be worth it for Ridley. Nobody has said that trading Jarvis Brownlee was good or smart or good value. McCreary made sense because he's an expiring contract and you understand that. But you've already done those 2 things. You don't need another pick swap on Saturday afternoon in the draft.
No.
You've done 2 already. You don't need a 3rd. So I think the only guys that get traded are the edge players. Draymond Jones, I think, is out of here. He had a sack and a half yesterday. He's got 4 straight games with at least 1 sack. I think he is gone. Arden Key, I'm not sure because he's injured, but cheaper than expiring deal than Ridley.
But Key has a good reputation to be a high energy player that I think actually he could make a sack in the playoffs.
Well, you know what I called Arden Key, Zach, is Arden Key is the impulse candy at the checkout line at the grocery store. You don't need it, but it's flashy enough and you're right there. Just gonna throw it in there.
You're still going to get the sugar rush off of it.
Exactly. That's to further the analogy for sure.
Yeah. And in the playoffs, that can help. I actually think this offseason is going to be the year of number 1 wide receiver, defensive pass rushers, and probably offensive line and some corners. Those are your needs. And they're not just team needs, they are glaring needs.
Yes. Kendall has a late super chat here. Titans run a Wildcat goal line play without a lead blocker. The main advantage of running a Wildcat. Can't beat incompetence. Eliminate this culture. # call Rex. Call Rex Ryan. Man.
I was thinking, Ronnie Brown's not running through that door. You don't have, this is not, don't get cute with bad play calling.
Yeah. All right, Zach.
The cuteness, the flea flicker. Let it progress. It's not even a fake.
No.
It too quick. That's coaching. That's coaching. It's coaching.
Yeah.
Tony, fake it.
Sell it. Yep.
Sell it.
Yep.
Those are
100%.
little things.
All right, Zach. We're already late, but I think, do you want to give your ESPN versus YouTube spiel here?
Yes, I do. Because I do think this is very, very interesting. So, everybody's affected by this, or at least a lot of people are. I sure as hell am. The ESPN app is not as good as the YouTube TV app. It's just not, as far as the experience, the movement within it, going back and forth, rewinding, fast forward. It's not good. This is all a part of the plan. ESPN launched their $30 all-inclusive app, and everybody's like, nobody's going to buy that. Well, ESPN had other plans for that because they knew the contract was up October 30th. October 30th that just happened, and they were going to play hardball. So they raised their prices to YouTube TV, which YouTube TV is right around $100 a month for users. They were going to have to raise that to 120 to 130 for their users. And you just can't do that in the middle of the year for it to make sense. So what happened? ESPN said, no, everybody's going to come to us directly. We're going to get all that first party data, and we're going to get all that money directly to us over the weekend, and we'll deal with the PR. So also knowing that people are savvy on the internet, what do? You offer a 5-day free trial for Fubo TV. You know who owns the majority of Fubo TV? Disney. Disney bought 70% stake in Fubo TV at the end of October. So everybody that went to the free 5-day trial to go get ESPN and ABC on Fubo TV actually were just giving their data to Disney. And once that 5-day trial goes up, you know, it's not $30 Fubo TV. It's about $45 to $75, depending on what package you have. So they're going to sit back and relax for the next week, and they're just going to continue to collect money and first-party data, which is your email address, so that they can re-advertise to you through cookies. That's how tech works. But it is diabolical. And YouTube, who's owned by Google, their stock went down over the last several days because of this fiasco. But it was all about a purchase of a secondary company that it didn't matter how you tried to circumvent the system. Disney was going to get theirs. They're going to get their mouse ears, and damn it, they did. I find that fascinating. So the 5-day passes to get it, they're still going to get you. But I am hoping for a settlement because I'm tired of the ESPN app. I want my YouTube TV back.
Just evil genius. It's so smart, but it's so crooked, and it's so sleazy. But there you go. That's the world that we're in. So, yeah. You know,
and that's all public information. I'm not telling you anything inside. I connected those dots over the weekend because I was like, I try to be one step ahead in the tech game, and it's hard. That's exactly what they did. So Bob Iger and the CEO of Disney knew exactly what they were doing. But
funny comment that came in here. Somebody was like, Major Key was like, whatever happened to that Cam Ward Tubi documentary? Yeah, like 3 months late on that one. All right, that is it for us here on this Monday. Really solid show talking about this 1-8 Titans team. Make sure you hit that like button, like the show on Facebook and YouTube. That goes a long way for us. Follow us on Google as well. Buck Rising live tonight for AtoZSports Primetime. Trades may be in the works, so head on a swivel throughout the rest of the day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on a Tuesday morning. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.